The Queen of Granada, by M. Riff. Chapter 111, The Stairs. Once the road leveled out, she shifted back into high gear, accelerated, and continued. As I sat there, I couldn't help but wonder about the abundance of toilets in that place. The Secret Service would occupy those offices with a small staff, and they wouldn't all need to use the restrooms simultaneously. Even the movie theater across the street didn't have as many restrooms. It felt like they were covering something up. I glanced up at the high, ornate stucco ceiling with beautiful carvings. In the center, an antique chandelier was still hung. Undoubtedly, the ceiling above the toilets resembled the one on an old staircase. Maybe they strategically placed the toilets on top of the stairs to conceal them. These might be the original cellar stairs, extending into the bunker. The staircase could be wide enough to handle a crowd seeking shelter during a bomb threat. They probably used the same route to move the central archive cabinets. While the idea seemed plausible, I couldn't move all the toilets to access the stairs. I walked around, searching for a switch to move the toilets, but found none. If the stairs led to a secret bunker, they wouldn't place the switch knob right next to the door. On the other hand, they also wouldn't want to hide the switch so it couldn't be found when people had to rush down to save their lives. As I washed my hands, I looked around and tried to follow the logic of the people who built the place and the factors they would take into account. Perhaps it was my vivid imagination that had conjured up a non-existent staircase right there. It was not pleasant to imagine that people would pour down from the same place to survive underground for decades while a nuclear war made the earth uninhabitable. You feel depressed when a few dark clouds appear in the sky. How could you endure it in a dark bunker for decades? Maybe they had built the switch into the door. I closed the door, turned the key, but nothing happened. Fumbling, I stuck my finger into the hole in the door jamb that normally holds the latch head and pressed the lower part. Nothing happened. But when I pressed my fingertip up, I could feel a button giving way. It seemed as if I had finally found the access button to the bunker. I returned to the big hall, drank the remainder of the coffee from the top of the thermos I had used as a mug, and screwed it back onto the jug. I placed the jug in the backpack next to the large flashlight, which I had encased in a clear plastic bag and sealed it with a knot. Then I could use the flashlight even in the rain. With the backpack on my back, both straps over my shoulders, I went back to the toilets. I inserted my finger into the cavity of the latch, put my finger on the bunker button, and pressed up hard, this time for real. I had barely pressed it when the floor beneath my feet began to shift. As all the toilets moved in one direction, a gap appeared at the opposite end of the room. I walked towards the opening. I still had a few steps to go when I glimpsed the first steps going down. But suddenly the floor stopped and began to move back. Maybe I should keep pressing the button. I didn't have time to reconsider my options. I held the straps of my backpack in my clenched hands and jumped down through the opening. With the heavy backpack on my back, I lost my balance and rolled down the stairs. Oddly, as I tumbled down, I was more worried about the coffee pot than my head. Finally, I landed on my stomach on the landing and lay there. I must have hit my head and passed out. When I came to and opened my eyes, it was pitch black everywhere. I could feel liquid on the floor around my face. At first, I thought I was bleeding. But the taste of dust and coffee flowing from the floor into my mouth indicated that it was the coffee pot that had broken. As cold as the coffee was, I must have been lying there for a while. A part of my clothes was wet. I got up on all fours and sat on my knees. I grabbed the backpack and placed it in front of my knees. Fumbling, I grabbed the thermos and lifted it up, as the pieces of glass rattled in it. It seemed there was still some coffee left in it. I put it aside, away from the backpack to protect the flashlight. I grabbed the plastic bag and took out the flashlight. It was dry and worked. I directed the light upwards and spotted the massive slab of concrete that had blocked my way back. If it had been a regular World War II bunker, people could probably go down and up as needed. But down to a nuclear bunker it could only be a one-way street, and reopening the door back to nuclear-contaminated surroundings would require permission from the highest military authorities. For a moment, my problem of finding the letter seemed like a luxury problem compared to what lay ahead in the future. I tightened the lamp strap around my wrist, grabbed the railing and staggered to my feet. I hadn't broken any bones, but my head was spinning as dizzy as I was.